Now we'll get to move on and see some more interesting decks. What do we got going on here? We got a Ketwol. We've got a Chris Wirfs. Take a quick beverage break for a second. We've got ISB and we've got old allies. Somebody was just talking in the chat, the Slack chat, about anybody have a good ISB list. Well, here you go. You might just get to see one. Maybe you'll see one not to use. So, ISB, not a deck we see a whole lot, but certainly with ROPS taking a hit, some of the same some of the same character packages and things could certainly work out over as an ISB build. And old allies, which also got a couple of changes. We'll recap those real quick for you. So the flip side of the objective, you can only reduce force loss that's at non-Jakku locations, so you can't just run away from your opponent and keep reducing the drains on your own sites to 1. You can only do it when they're away from you, so that certainly gives decks that go after Jakku sites, or like map or hunt down, that want to be aggressive and want to interact with their opponent, a better chance against them there. The other little tweak here was on a Brave Resistance. When you cycle a guy back, you can upload a character of equal or lesser ability now. So cycling back little ability 2 roses, which are all Destiny 5, to try and get better characters like Rey and Leia and things like that will no longer work. You can still go the other way. You can put Leia back to get Rose. You can put Leia back to get Rey. But now you can only do equal or lesser abilities. So we'll see what slight adjustments happen to old allies as well, how they adjust their character package or just their playstyle. How does one join the Slack channel? So anyone can actually invite you to Slack. I think they just need to know your email address to do it. I would recommend against posting it in the chat here on the video, because then anybody would just have your email. But if you post a message about it on the forums, I'm sure one of the advocates or somebody will reach out to you and say, hey, just send me your email and I'll be sure to add you. And then you can go ahead and get added to the Slack group. Which I think has like 160 people in it, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so Kieran is Ketwol. Ketwol is Kieran. Kieran's going to use his Endor shield pulls and get Admiral Piet and Admiral Ozzel. He's got a flagship bridge. He's got an executor docking bay. He's got a Piet. He's going to go get a docking bay. He gets the spaceport docking bay and puts that on Jakku. And there's Ozzel as well. So you got mob points working, giving you some extra activation bump. Now you could suspend mob points. Wirfs is going to go pull a Profundity. Alright, so he's going to get Rey's sight out. No strike planning in this build. Wirfs opted for, Brave Resistance, Walkling, and Rebellions are built on Hope. Typically we see strike planning. People go get General Calrissian, plop him down in the Falcon with Rey. But Wirfs going for the Rebellions, having the ability to get easy access to the Profundity instead. I don't know if that was a specific meta choice against his opponent, or just how he envisioned this matchup going, or if it's just something new he's trying out here. Alright, so we got Rey down. He takes Leia with his used pile pull. Now he's going to pull the Don't Do That Again to suspend the mob points. That will take away the 2 activation from his opponent, the bonus that he would get for having the docking bay. He'll move Ray over. She'll hop inside the Falcon, and that puppy will take off to the system. All right. Kieran goes and looks for a docking bay, but is not there. And Wirfs will get his grabber out. There's Marajik. Marajik is usually who Piet pulls. Marajik then pulls you systems. And typically when people do this pull chain, usually they get Bespin. They play multiple copies of They Must Never Again Leave the City, which lets the Executor deploy for free to Bespin. And then they just bring the guys up from the site to the bridge of the ship. So then they pilot the ship in space. And that's how you get your Executor down pretty cheap, and you kind of start satisfying battle plan, and get a bunch of these guys and your whole pull chain and everything going. There is the Bespin system. We'll see if he has the effect. He does have the effect. The Goldenrod shield, which Wirfs pulled right away, will make him pay 2 for the Executor. Now that he occupies the system, mob points is no longer suspended. But something tells me those guys aren't going to be staying there anyway. And one by one, they move from the location to the bridge of the ship. It's below decks to the command deck, if you will. And then he'll draw a few cards here. He's got 2 ISB agents on the table. Marajik is an ISB agent as well, so that's a nice little benefit of that pull chain with Piet. And then you got Ozzel for number 2. Alright, so Wirfs goes to get a Boss Nash Chamber. Okay, not usually a card you also see needed. Usually they get quite enough force on their own, just covering 3 or 4 locations with a Brave Resistance. But it's only +1 at Jakku Battlegrounds you occupy, so maybe he just doesn't necessarily plan on occupying many of them. I don't know. And now we've got launching the Assault as well. That's the one that lets you pull home 1. And there's Civil Disorder. So Civil Disorder tips your hand that you're not playing Barrier, because Barrier is canceled. You do get the benefit, though, whenever you initiate a battle, you can retrieve your topmost non-EPP, non-maintenance character. You can also mess with the combat cards and Senate cards. I feel like Kieran played Darkside Senate maybe in round... Did he play it in round 1? No, he played a stunning move in round 1. But maybe he was playtesting Darkside Senate recently or something, so... Or maybe Wirfs just wanted the character retrieval. And he'll draw a few cards here. And he's going to rescue. He's going to need to try and set up a bit of a ground game at some point. Get his objective flipped. Looks like he's just trying to cycle some cards out of his hand, so he can draw maybe an extra card or 2, trying to stay below that 12. He finds the home 1. The other benefit to launching the Assault is it also adds 1 to your force drains. And it's not just there, it's wherever you have a Star Cruiser piloted by a character. So Profundity, a Star Cruiser, Home 1, a Star Cruiser. You can actually get drain bumps at both locations if they were at separate locations. There's 5d6 to the docking bay. That's guy number 3. And there's Art Vandalay. Vandalay Industries. So a lot of these ISB agents have cool text that say, like, when deployed, do something. When deployed, you can take an ISB agent here into hand. So we let you pick one of your ISB agents back up. Usually, it's a guy who has a when deployed text that's really good. Then you redeploy the guy and trigger the text again. Sometimes you get a guy like Paul Treatham, I think, who says when deployed or leaves table, his text triggers. So he leaves table, you trigger his benefit to draw a card, and then you redeploy him and then draw another card. So you get some great synergy and some cycling ability, um, courtesy of Vandalay. He also has a um, redraw text built right in. So anytime you draw an ISB agent for Battle Destiny, you can take him into hand or redraw. So it's pretty solid. And 5d6 by himself doesn't do a whole lot. If he's with the Scomp Link, he gives you some benefits, but the Spaceport Docking Bay does have a Scomp Link, so let's see. 1 to 3, you get to activate a force. 4 to 6, you get to draw the top card of your reserve deck, and if your opponent draws a 0 or 7, you get to retrieve a force. Probably not a lot of R2 and red 5s floating around in here, but hey, you never know. It might be a relatively unprotected or something. When he draws a 7, you could draw, somehow put one of these locations back and draw it. Probably not. The benefit of doing this, of course, is now the objective is flipped, where you have a non-undercover ISB agent at a battleground site. Your drains are +1, and opponents' force drains are -1 at same and related locations. So by putting the droid there at same and related Jakku locations, all light side drains are basically -1. And because he's a droid who can't be battled, he can kind of just sit there by himself for a while. You got to sniper him really to get rid of him, or do something more sinister like R3PO or one of those cards. So Kieran not necessarily in a rush here to need to move over. So it's a drain of 2 at the system normally. It'll get reduced to 1. Now that he's flipped, also during his draw phase, he can retrieve an ISB agent. So if his opponent does pay 3 to drain for 1, probably not happening, he could just pitch an ISB agent from hand, and then during his draw phase just retrieve him, in which case he hasn't really lost anything. Alright, so we get Solo, we get Chewie. Solo cost +1 because of the docking base text, which makes opponents' pilots deploy +1. And there's Rose. Light side is now flipped because they control the 3 locations. Well, it's control 2 and occupy 1. And then they'll move over. So now you got a solid 11 power, 2 battle destiny. Rose is now retrieving 1. Certainly a bit of a grind here with ISB. There's Mustafar and Vader's Castle. It's another good pull chain with Marajik. Alright, we got a Blizzard 4. He's got a lot of options for these Imperials to go get. He will get Colonel Wolf Yularen. Wolf Yularen's another good guy to pop back into hand because when deployed, you can activate up to X Force, limit 4, where it's the number of ISB agents on table. So you deploy him and you can activate up to 4. So he costs 2. You activate 4. You drop somebody else, pick him back up. Drop Vandalay, pick him back up, redeploy him, and activate 4 more. That can certainly be a turn that lets you get a lot more out. You gain an extra couple of force that way, and net a few extra characters on the table. In this instance, though, just getting 4 extra force to work with here. There's a Blizzard 2. Does he have Veers to go with it? Yep, there's General Veers. And Colonel Wolf Yularen's going to get out and move over with Veers. but he's going to stand fast. That Chewie with bowcaster there can shoot vehicles. Old Allies isn't known for drawing the best Destiny in the world. Blizzard 2 is armor 8, so he would need a 9 total to hit it. But he still does get 2 Battle Destiny behind it as well. Kieran may not have a trample or anything that he can use yet, so he might just be more interested in kind of biding his time for a turn and seeing what he can do. He'll lose an ISB agent from hand. This drain is 0. There you go. He drops Jin, see if he can use her to kind of draw out the trample or just block the drain for a little bit. He's going to pay full price for the profundity. Interesting. I guess he's going to maybe want to shuttle any of those guys up. Nope, he's just going to pick up the Falcon. He's going to move Wedge off the Falcon. And then just draw a few cards. Saves him the force from having to pay the ship dock by picking up the capital, the Starfighter, and then moving the pilots off it, embarking and disembarking, as opposed to ship docking and paying one to move people. Just a little more efficient. Let you draw an extra card or two, let you save a force or two more. That could come in handy next turn. There's no trample in the reserve deck. Is it in hand or is it in the used pile? Or the force pile, rather. Nope, we're going to draw phase. He's just going to retrieve an ISB agent and draw a bunch of cards. So he did his drain for 1 at Bespin. And then he's going to go ahead and run from there. Yeah, it's only at sites you get the drain +1, so a lot of times you will see people use Admiral Chiranu to boost the space drains, especially because Bespin and Mustafar are close enough together that you'd get the benefit at both systems. And then you'll typically see ISB run a couple other ships like Binder, maybe Conquest. All of which are they're Star Destroyers, so they do trigger the benefit of Chiranu. Kieran's going to cycle back a masterful move just to get a card out of his hand so he can draw one more. He's going to play I Can't Shake Him to make Weapon Destinies minus again. It's Starship Weapon Destinies, just so he can draw another card. I Can't Shake Him also lets you deploy guys to your during your opponent's turn. So by Wirfs having the piloted Star Cruiser there, he now picks up, this becomes a drain of 2 again. And Rose will retrieve 1. So you see what we're kind of getting into here. This is that grind nature of games against ISB. They've reduced your drains. Now you reduce their drains back. At some point in time, we should see a decent-sized battle. But right now, there really isn't a point for either person to really press the action. They can kind of take their time. They're not taking a lot of damage, and they're kind of offsetting it with the little token bits of retrieval. So they can afford to take their time, kind of load up, so they don't get caught with their pants down. And then the firepower shield comes out. Yep. So Kieran's going to cycle some cards back, put a couple good destinies together near the bottom of his deck where he can get to them. And then he'll retrieve 1 at the end of the turn and get his Tempest 1 back. So yeah, so we're 5 turns into the game, and neither side has really done any lasting damage to the other. there's our 2 brave little droid. Not exactly a card that we see all that often, but like we mentioned earlier during the map game, the lateral damage overwhelmed has become fairly popular for Darkside in ways of countering light side space fleets, especially old allies and things like that. R2 here cancels lateral damage targeting a starship at same system, and he's Destiny 6 to boot. You can also send him used to cancel a Just Drawn Battle Destiny when he's in space. So certainly a strong card, and with this being a solid dark side strategy for removing space, um, that's a good additional out. That also has an additional benefit of being able to cancel a Battle Destiny by putting a 6 in your used pile. So that's pretty good. All right, so we got Agent Callus going to the 2-0 now. The Force Drain is boosted only at, and there's Poultrytum, at battleground sites, so this will still just be a regular drain. But Poultrytum, when deployed, you can take the top card of your used pile or reserve deck, so he draws from his used pile, because he has no reserve deck, he used it all. There's Chiranu. Now he's going to try and draw a few cards. Now he's going to go above 12, because he's really just looking for that trample, which is going to get grabbed. Doesn't have the canceller for it, though. We'll have to conclude that he found it. And hey, look at that. He deployed guys and didn't battle, so Wirfs will use weapons display and retrieve a card. Even if he didn't, Rose would have retrieved one during his turn anyway, so. Unfortunately, these types of games can be not the most exciting to watch or play, but there is an elegance to control decks, and it takes a lot of skill and a lot of patience to play these types of decks and to methodically, trade pawns throughout the course of the game with your opponent. Get yourself into the types of situations where possibly you can, inflict a lot large damage in a single battle. You kind of lull your opponent into a false sense of security, if you will. All right, so he drops the villager. He uses Ray to draw a card. Ray finds Hera, which is absolutely brilliant because that's going to be an additional battle destiny here. The villager is a resistance character, so he'll get to use the objective to subtract 2 as well. Callus adds a destiny when he's with another ISB agent. Kieran's going to stack 2 5s together again, down here towards the bottom. He draws the 4, which for Battle Destiny, which triggers 5d6. Lets Kieran draw the top card of his reserve deck. There's a 5. He can do it again if he wants. Yep, he's going to draw another card. And then we're going to get a dark time to subtract 1. So now we've got 2 4s. And there's a 1, which will let Kieran activate a force, which will then get Jedi leved. See if that gets grabbed. Nope. Probably saving it for the leadership. Makes a lot more sense. And we'll get the redraw, which is a 5, which will let him draw another card. So you get a total of 13, puts him at 25. Darkside's going to get 2 draws now. Ouch. there's a 4. That'll get subtracted by the objective. So we got 25 to 9. Darkside loses by 16. Pole forfeits for 7 with arrest order out. Callus goes for 6. So they cover 13. So it's really just them and 3. Which isn't too bad. Light side opts to lose Hera. So they can keep Lando around. We'll see if Wirfs just wants to move these 2 guys back over to join the party. Kieran's going to masterful move. Nothing in there to get. The problem is with drawing all those cards and putting a bunch of cards and stacking a bunch of guys on the system, he doesn't have a lot left to work with. He's got 12 cards in hand, and he's only got 13 cards left down. It almost makes you feel like you're playing with like a 40-card deck sometimes. Yep, and Wirfs will wisely shuffle his guys back over, because all ISB agents are spies, so you don't want them coming back to the 2-0 there. And then he'll pick up a couple cards. Looks like he draws a Ray that you can't see because the replay link is in the corner. And then he'll pay for upkeep. There's the drain at 2 that gets reduced to 1. So Kieran activates all of it. He's going to drop a second grabber. There's Tarkin going to space. Tarkin cancels a Destiny. And now we'll see if the ship moves off of Bespin. Yep, it's going to move over. If he shuttles anybody up or down, nope, he's just going to retrieve an ISB agent. The villager here also adds to force drains, doesn't he? Yep. He adds 1 to the force drain. So that'll make this a drain of 1, and then Rose will get to retrieve a card. So again, we're still just kind of grinding away here, but Old Allies definitely has fewer cards on the table. It has more life force remaining, so I would say they're ahead at this point. So there's a drain of 1. He's going to play the female card now. If you have a female somewhere, it lets you add 1 to a drain, or it lets you cancel the weapon destiny targeting a female character. That's a drain of 2 now, so he loses the accelerate and a decree from hand. Rose retrieves a card. She'll get back the nice destiny interrupt there, the battle destiny adder. And then he'll play the imbalance combo to make him lose a force. He'll probably just lose the same card he just retrieved. Unless there's something in his hand he really doesn't care about. Nope, I'm just going to lose the card. It's a known quantity, that's why you lose the one that you just retrieved. Unless it's a card you really want. You're like, alright, well I already know what this card is. I just retrieved it because I only just wanted to get a card back. I don't necessarily need it for anything, so let's just go ahead and just lose it again. He's going to send solo used, and he's going to do that, and he's going to take Poe Dameron. And now we're going to get Poe Dameron aboard El Profundity. And Darkside's going to play I Can't Shake Him, the other part of the card. Oh, nope, he's still using it the same way. He's not using it to deploy anybody. He only has 1 force left, and there's probably no guys in there at this point. So he's just cycling back the 5 again. And now we're going to get 12 force for the home 1. And Akbar for free. He's got 1 left to battle, but if he does, then Lando can't live. you wouldn't have any force left to pay upkeep for Lando, so he's going to have to pass on battling in order to keep Lando around. But now we've got a big pile of ships in front of a ship with a big pile of guys on it. And then Tarn Mizan shows up and makes all those guys forfeit 0. Like, no. Alright, there's U3PO from Darkside. So now nobody's draining or doing any damage. And Colonel Wolf Yularen's going to get shuttled up. 5d6 is going to get shuttled up. Colonel Wolf Yularen's going to get shuttled up. Now, he doesn't subtract from the drains anymore because he doesn't have an ISB agent out of sight, but U3PO's blocking that drain anyway, unless he gets sorry about the mess, which, as we can see, doesn't have. He's got Corran Horn, though, so Corran Horn can come down and cancel the text. ISB, because of the number of spies that it does run, it can run cards like Never Yalnal, because it's basically just a good way to kill people, especially against no idea these days with that many spies running around. I mean, Never Yalnal, you're kind of just picking off a spy. And it's a Destiny 6 card, so certainly something we could see sneak into the matchup here. Of course, I want to thank you guys for hanging out tonight and watching some of these Outrider Cup games. This one is definitely more of a chess match than the last two. There's Corran Horn. There's R2, brave little droid. Wirfs still not grabbing it. Obviously, he's waiting for the command. Corran Horn will break U3PO's cover and steal him, so no tricks there from Kieran. He's going to shuttle up Corran Horn, shuttle up U3PO with him, so you got some extra forfeit fodder. You can just throw away your opponent's droid to your loss pile. We're just kind of at one of those stalemates here. But Wirfs is winning, so he doesn't need to press the advantage here. There's the trample. He is going to grab that. Does this card cancel that? Weapon Destiny, targeting your female character. So this is not a weapon. And I'm sure this is the I can't shake him that he's been cycling around. Hey, look at that. So he will kill Jin. That's going to give Wirfs a peek at his opponent's hand, though. So now he's going to know exactly what he's looking at and what he's up against here. Okay, so he's got Binder, Mara Ship, and Conquest. 3 commands in hand and a Dark Time. He also has Iceheart, Vader, and Maul, and a Lana combo if necessary to protect some forfeits. 3 commands all in hand: Binder, Conquest, Mara Ship. Could certainly get bloody here in space over the next couple of turns. The problem is that Kieran's got so many cards on the table and lost already that he can't deploy more than like one of those a turn. So the longer things go in space, the more he's going to be able to, piece by piece, get stuff out and back him up, which might force Wirfs to have to speed things up a little bit in terms of his battling. Actually start forcing some of the action here. So let's just look at what we got. So, dark side here, they've got 29 power. Executor's immune to less than 12. You've got Tarkin aboard, who can cancel an opponent's just drawn destiny. A lot of these other guys just have really good forfeits. Obviously, he can play command, and he can limit his opponent to one draw as well. He doesn't have anybody here, though, who's adding destiny. Oh, never mind. Yep, nope. Wolf Yularen keeps the ship from being power reduced. Yeah, he's still only getting one battle destiny here himself. And on the other, so he can limit light side from drawing more than one for a couple of turns. Light side could do it just as well right back with their own leaderships. And if you look at the power on this side of the things, light side's got 35. You've got R2 who can cancel their destiny. You've got multiple destinies yet. You also have the Bright Hope, which can subtract a destiny from their total power and attrition. A couple of these ships, the Bright Hope is not immune to anything. Falcon's less than 4, Profundity's less than 5 because of Poe. Home 1's immune to less than 10. So you have to lose something possibly. Whereas your opponent will just start losing guys one at a time. I don't know. You kind of feel like at that point in time maybe it's not worth battling. Maybe you just do you run away and spread out, knowing your opponent doesn't really have the option to put a lot of stuff down. Oh, he loses Mara ships. Now he's down to just 2 ships left in hand. Lose 1, retrieve 1 with Rose. Could just put Anakin down in space, get some extra power, and battle. He's got some pretty solid destiny draws in there. So even if your opponent does draw pretty decently, if you can then subtract with the Bright Hope, that could come in handy. So I think you got a battle now if you're Wirfs. Make him play the command. Oh, you get to retrieve a guy. There you go. With Civil Disorder. So he gets to retrieve Jin. Ice Heart's there, so she's not going to do a whole lot, but she could certainly go off planet and go start trying to drain over here at one of these non-battleground locations. Try and speed things up a little bit. Here comes the command, which can't be grabbed because he already grabbed the trample. And there's the dark time. That's interesting. I don't know that I like that dark time because now he can't cancel his opponent's destiny draw. Well, I guess he could still cancel the Bright Hope draw with Tarkin. Because it says during battle you can cancel a just drawn destiny. So he can cancel the Bright Hope draw with Tarkin. So there you go. So he'll let him draw a battle destiny, which won't crack the immunity to the ship. He'll cancel the Bright Hope draw. Meanwhile, his destiny won't get subtracted 2 from. Okay, so that makes sense. Just had to talk it out. Most cards I've ever seen deployed to one location. Yeah, if this were in real life, you'd have cards on your lap at this point, I think. Especially some of the tables we have to play in sometimes at venues. Okay, so there's the 1, which can't be modified because of the dark time. Ray adds to the total, making it a 2. Dark side draws a 2, but the draw can't be modified, except to be redrawn, which Vandalay then does. And he draws Agent Callus. Not much help there. Kind of the same thing. And now Wirfs will use the Bright Hope, but Tarkin should cancel this. Yep, and he does. But Lightside still wins the battle by 9. He's going to throw away Anakin. And Darkseid will lose Colonel Wolffield Laren, who forfeits for 7. And the 5d6 droid, who's kind of outlived his usefulness at this point. And Wirfs is going to shuttle Lando up. Lando will let him retrieve a card. He should ship dock Lando to the Falcon. He'll get more power. Now he's just going to move away and get a second drain going. He is going to ship dock Lando over to the Falcon. So, so Lando's text says, if opponent initiates battle at the same location, you can retrieve a force and add it to his power. Or power a Falcon he is piloting. So even if you get to just retrieve a card and add a couple more power. Oh, they get Finn as well. So Profundity with Wedge and Corran Horn, who cancel a Battle Destiny, have moved away. Oh, that's the other advantage too, I guess. Yes. So then he had to do a Dark Time. I forgot that Wedge has been there the whole game. There's so many cards there, so many Kais. So yes, he absolutely had to play a Dark Time then to prevent the Battle Destiny draw from being canceled. Now we got Vader in space. Does Vader cancel in space or only at sites? Same site. Okay, good. That'd be really broken if he worked in space. So Wirfs will retrieve Rose and add 5 to the power of the Falcon, and then he'll deploy Finn as a react, which will get canceled by the Lana combo, putting Finn back in his hand. And there's the command again. Yeah, he's just going to cycle the commands now and keep limiting light side to 1 destiny draw. Without having the grabber available. For the command. Wirfs is going to have a lot of trouble really gaining any ground. He draws decently in space. Tarkin cancels that. But now the Bright Hope will get to go through and he'll get to draw and subtract with that. So we'll just kind of see where we keep going at. So he subtracts 4, so light side wins the battle. And takes no battle damage or attrition. Dark side has to lose a card. And they opt to forfeit a character off the ship instead of losing a force. And he loses Vandalay, and then he gets to retrieve a guy. He'll retrieve Vandalay. So now we'll see if he's not going to move. So light side slightly ahead here. And they continue to just stretch their advantage now because they'll get to drain on the ground. They'll get the drain at Mustafar. It's a piloted. So we've got a couple things going on here. So Mustafar's text says, while Vader on table, unless Amidala at a Mustafar location, you force drain -1. So this would be a drain of 1, but we also have launching the assault, boosting it back up because you've got the Star Cruiser that's piloted, putting it back to a drain of 2. There goes Tarkin from hand. There goes the Conquest from hand because he doesn't have enough force really left to deploy some of these things. So now he just got drained for 3 and Rose is retrieving 1. So now Wirfs is starting to open up the gap a little bit here between the 2 decks. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. good thing to point out there. So we don't see this interaction all that often. But Ozzel says, lost if Vader on table and opponent reacts to same location. So by having the Lana combo to cancel the react of Finn last battle, Ozzel would have died, which would have taken Darkseid down a little bit more power and forfeit as well. I usually see it with the Spiral, but Finn does react to space. So that's also a good pickup there, Bob. Now we get Finn coming down for regular price. And Wirfs will just draw a couple of cards. The problem is I don't see a situation where Kieran's not going to have a command for the foreseeable future. So he's going to Jedi Lev. He's going to spend 4 force, and he's going to get Hera back. And there's the other Destiny adder. Recirculate, pay for Lando. Yep. Now Iceheart is there, so that will increase that drain to a drain of 2 at the docking bay. He'll lose heading to the medical frigate. He can throw away one of these leaderships at this point, right? There you go. So Wirfs has got 18 and 9 for 27 total to Kieran's 17, so he's got a nice 10-card advantage. They're both retrieving 1 a turn. Kieran's just going to draw a few cards, but he activated all of it, so he doesn't have anything left in his reserve deck. So unless he plays some used interrupts, he's not going to have anything to draw for Battle Destiny. Oh, he's going to spend the force to grab the interrupt just because, and then he'll pay 1 to retrieve an ISB agent as well. Just again to spend force to put some cards back in his reserve deck. And Wirfs is going to go ahead and play a leadership now and take Leia out of the deck. That will let him retrieve more force for initiating battles. He could drop Leia, Hera, battle in space. Get to retrieve a card. Retrieve with Rose. I mean, again, he's already ahead. And Kieran has drawn so many cards now, he only has 5 cards left face down. He's not really going to be able to deploy anything with 5 force. A couple of those cards obviously have to be used interrupts that he can cycle back. Wirfs just has to make sure his opponent doesn't try and draw up before he's able to cycle enough stuff back. Oh, there's a Kent and Strider combo to make his opponent lose a force because he retrieved 1, so he'll just throw away a guy from hand. A guy that he can then retrieve when he battles with Civil Disorder. So Leia, Civil Disorder, Rose, he can pretty much retrieve a large number of cards here. Plus he gets to drain now. He's draining for 2 and 1. Yep, there go the rest of Kieran's ships. So it looks like Wirfs is going to win this game again just by being patient. He just sort of outlasted. Outwit, outlast, outplay, right? That's the motto. Okay, Leia's going ground. Hera's going ground. Padme's going to move over. That'll add a destiny to attrition. Hera adds a battle destiny. He's got a leadership that he could use to also add. So it's almost like he's being that command is unique. He's now presented two strong fronts where command would be advantageous to use. And Kieran does not have a lot of force left to work with. He puts Pole Treatum down. And he is going to play the command to prevent his opponent from drawing more than one here on the ground. But Padme will still add a destiny to attrition. Pole Treatum also subtracts from attrition. It limits it at 3. Wirfs plays the leadership and takes the other Leia out of the deck. So he's going to draw some pretty solid destiny because looking at what he had left in there, there's not a lot of characters left in his deck. So Darkseid has 2 draws because of Veers. The first one gets subtracted by 2. The second one is the 5. So he'll have a total of 7, which just happens to be what Padme covers. Lightside gets a 4, plus they'll get an additional destiny to attrition here. Pole Treatum's going to subtract 2 from the total attrition. That's a 6. That's pretty big. So that's 10. Pole subtracts 2, making it 8. And he only covers 7. That was a pretty good draw for Wirfs. Oh, Leia's going to go. Okay. So Leia goes. He's got some battle damage to cover too, so Leia makes a little more sense. But this was Darkseid's battle. Plus, he has another Leia in hand, so he will lose to Hera as well. Now that you know where 6-4 is, right? Go do it again. Deploy, battle, retrieve, draw 6-4. Then you're killing Veers and Iceheart. Unless he's going to shuttle somebody down. He's going to retrieve Pole Treatum. He can't really afford to shuttle anybody down. So I think we're going to see Wirfs come back with Leia here and pretty much take that site. Assuming he tracks well, which he just did. He had 4-4-6 on deck. Why play leadership during battle? To get the Leia out? I don't know. I don't know if he knew that those were there. Alright, so there's the drain of 2 in space. He'll get the drain of 1. He'll get the retrieval from Rose to get Hera back in the deck. Yep, there's Leia. There's the battle. There's the retrieval. He'll retrieve the other Leia. Add the destiny to attrition. Oh, you can also Civil Disorder. You get the Anakin back off the bottom as well. Yep, we talked about that earlier. Just putting a couple more cards back in his deck. Increasing his differential. Kieran's going to Masterful move. I think he's trying to make sure he draws more than 8. So he can try and kill both characters. He's going to prevent Destiny draws from being modified or canceled. Or just setting up at least whatever Destiny he can, plus giving himself more force to work with for the next turn. There's the 6. Oops. He played a Dark Time. You can't modify the draw. So he just wasted his solo. And he put a card out of play that he could have retrieved. Oops. Alright, so there's a 5 and a 4 from Ketwol. That'll be 9. That'll clear both guys because he also can't modify for using the objective. So light side's going to lose everything there, but dark side's going to have to lose 10, which is going to be the Blizzard 2 and Veers. He could lose Veers and Iceheart, and then he's got to find another pilot for Blizzard 2. He does lose the Blizzard 2. And once they go to move phase, Ketwol plays the command because he knows the battle's not coming in space. He's just trying to give himself more cards to work with. Cornhorn's going to shuttle down. That'll give him another drain opportunity over here. Again, 4-card hand. Most characters have hit the table or the lost pile at this point. He'll take Wedge with him, sure, just to be safe. That's pretty safe and secure there. We looked at his hand earlier. Conquest, Binder, Mara's Decimator with the 3 ships in his hand. He's lost all of them at this point. We know he did have Maul, but Maul costs 7 to deploy and 1 to battle is 8. It doesn't leave you any Destiny to draw or swing with. And now Kieran's going to take a page and try and do the same thing. Split some guys up, just throw some random guys down. He knows he's lost the game at this point, so he's trying to see if he can't just get some extra drains in, cause some extra damage. He'll shuttle a few guys down and then move the Executor away. Yep. I would have thought he might have at least moved to block the drain in front of Mustafar, but he's just going to try and just maximize his drain damage and stop Rose's retrieval. Vader's about to get pwned. And he's going to get to retrieve a guy for initiating the battle with Civil Disorder. So we've got drains of 2, 2, and 1. So this looks like this is going to be a solid win for Wirfs, picking up a win for Team USA here. And we got one more game to look at after this. It'll be the game that took place between Justin Desai and Tom Damon coming up next. It's a stunning move versus Legend. Spoilers. Yep. Wirfs sends a guy used to go look for a guy, but there's nobody there to look for. Then he draws a card with Rey. Oh, why did you draw a card with Rey? So he'll get to retrieve. He'll get Padme back. Chewie's going to take a shot at Vader. Vader's just trying to survive. Maybe the one card in his hand. Maybe he's got a Gick for this. So then he can get that one last turn of drains and stuff in, squeak out a few more cards away from Wirfs. But Wirfs can also, he's got plenty of force available. He can move and block most of these drains. He can move and block this and this. He can't do anything about this, but he can reduce it with the objective to 1. And then just pitch a card from hand. Oh, the Whis is grabbed. So he's got to pay 2 force. I think he forgot it was grabbed. Another tiny little mental mistake, but still a pretty solid performance by Mr. Wirfs in this game. El Wirfo. DJK, thank you for renewing your subscription. Hey, month number 13. You get a foil map objective for month number 12 as soon as you send me a screenshot. And then your address, too, because I don't think I have that. Unless you're coming to the NPC and I can give it down. You know what? Just send me the information. I'll mail it to you so you don't have to wait 3 months. All right, so he forfeits you 3PO. Just make sure to return that to your opponent after the game is over. Don't want your opponent, he might need that for a future game. See if he does have the Gick. Okay. But plenty of force left here. We'll see Wirfs move some people around. Block down a bunch of these drains. Solo goes one way. Chewy, Rose, and the Villager go the other. Yep, moves Bright Hope and the home 1 over. And don't draw any cards. I almost want to just lose a force and send Lando used. Because you can reduce this drain to 1. So you pitch that and you lose the other Lando from hand to send the Lando used. Could have gotten his diff up 1 more. And Kieran's just going to draw up here mercifully on turn 14 and end this game here. So that's going to be a win for Wirfs by 23. So we've seen a couple of big games so far from both sides. Big wins to start the match. Congratulations to Mr. Wirfs.